Let's go downstairs. Oh, hey, so we got Racter his drone parts, right? Tell me about your drone parts. Ah, my friend, you've done an admirable job indeed. I've already incorporated the technology that you recovered, my stolen tech, into a new chassis that I'm fabricating for Koschei. Ah, you move quick. Yes, well, he tips his cigarette. A cone of burning embers tumbles to the ground. I've been waiting for this for a long time. The next time we take to the field, you can expect to find Koschei's combat effectiveness considerably improved. He has become truly deathless, just as his namesake was in the legends. When he takes damage, he will mend himself before your eyes. Sweet. That sounds cool, man. That sounds incredible. Can't wait to see it in action. Nor can I, my friend. He turns back to the whirring machines that fill his shop, watching their progress with hunger in his eyes. Nor can I. A self-repairing robot. We don't have those yet. I mean, there are some ideas like, materials that can kind of repair themselves, or, bots that can repair bots. But we haven't gotten to the point where we have self-repairing bots. And that's one of the things about biology that's kind of amazing. The fact that when we get injured, we heal. Like that part is kind of amazing. Anyway, Koschei is now self-repairing. But that's it? He's got nothing else to say? Racter's shop is curiously silent. As you step down onto the grated metal floor, the sound of your own footsteps reverberates through the echo chamber of the converted engine room. No, that was just a special dialogue, right? Welcome back, my friend. He leans against his desk. Is there something that I can do for you? Quiet night in the shop, huh? Yes, a quiet night. He takes a drag on his cigarette, one best suited for contemplation, planning, and visions of the future. Any thoughts about that last run? A most wonderful outing. Excellent. I have my research back, my prototypes returned, all thanks to you. Oh, I suppose that I could complain of Tyler and Hardingham's absence. I would have greatly enjoyed commanding Koschei to feed them their own entrails. Racter's not playing. But this is a small matter. I have my research and I'll catch up with them soon enough. Oh, you're still gonna hunt them down? You're not gonna let them go? You've got your stuff back. Your choice to give away the laser prototype that we discovered confuses me though. Why did you bother? We didn't owe that other team anything. We were the first and we were the ones who found the device. Now they owe us, Racter. Didn't you get it? He waves away the thought. Ah, but it doesn't matter. A small thing, my friend. A trifle. The laser is nothing compared to my research. I am in your debt. Yeah, no, exactly. The laser is not that important, and now they are in our debt. Now, what else would you have of me? Okay, to pick up where we left off last time. His smile widens. Light gleams off of strong, sharp teeth, lending him a predatory appearance. If you like, I must confess I have rather enjoyed our talks. It is good to have a sounding board to bounce ideas off of. Ah, agreed. Our talks have been unpleasant in an academic sense. Glad to hear that we're on the same page. He takes a drag on his cigarette. I must confess, I sometimes forget how to interact with others. I am, by nature, a solitary creature. It is good to have a kindred spirit, someone whom I can understand on the team. Koschei scuttles forward, mechanical pedipalps weaving. Its motions are as alien and charged with menace as they have ever been. Racter glances at the machine and it takes a step back. That thing has got a brain in it, right? He claps his hands together and rubs them briskly. So my friend, you had questions for me. Go ahead and ask them, please. I'll answer whatever I can. You said that you sometimes forget how to interact with other people. An idiosyncrasy of mine, I suppose. When I get lost in my own head, relating to others becomes difficult. He smiles apologetically. It's nothing personal, just a quirk that I occasionally struggle to hide. Should we push it? More than occasionally. You talk like a robot, Racter. He shrugs, perhaps, but that has never stopped you from seeking me out for conversation. I mean, I'm fine with talking to robots, if that's what you mean. The last time we talked, you hinted at Koschei being special in some way. I want to hear the full story. Oh, is he gonna tell us? Yes, I figured that you might. Tell me, have you noticed anything unusual about Koschei in the time that we worked together? Uh... Alright, this is the closest. I mean, he seems to react to your moods, it's weird. It's almost more like an animal. He's almost more like he's an animal than he is a drone. That's the closest to what I think. I think there's an animal brain in there, possibly even a human brain in there, to be honest. Creepy as hell, that's not... Nothing I haven't attributed to clever programming and a slightly unhinged designer, no. No, like, if you were designing a drone, just to be highly effective, you wouldn't put in these animalistic motions into them because they're inefficient for a drone. It feels like he acts without you ordering him to, like he's semi-autonomous maybe. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna tell him that's an animal, that's not a drone. He nods, his lips pursed. Yes, a good observation. Koschei's behavior could be described as animalistic, and for good reason. And you want to tell me what that reason is? Because he is an animal. The drone lowers itself, its killing legs splayed. Racter looks to the drone, his head cocked. Then he returns his gaze to you. His behavior is not drone-like because he is not a drone, at least not in a way that you would understand. He is a prosthesis. Explain. The principle is really very simple. You can think of him as a cyber limb, if you will. We may be separated by distance, but he is joined to me as surely as a replacement leg is to its wearer. Hang on, you're telling me that you're always rigged into your drone? Not on a conscious level, no, but subconsciously, yes. There's a constant two-way stream of data flowing between my brain and his system. When he takes a step, I can feel it as a tingle in my spine. When he tears into flesh, I can feel the satisfaction. I feel the satisfaction. We are a singular entity in two bodies, metal and flesh made one. Your drone isn't a part of you, it's a machine that you control through your data jack. Let me challenge him a little bit. And tell me, what is a cyber limb? Is it a part of its owner, or a machine that's been grafted onto a cripple? Right. Alright, I get your point. I thought that you might. A cyber limb is physically attached to its owner, yes, but it is the neural attachment that matters. And that is the connection that Koschei and I share. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I was hoping there'd be an organic brain in there, but no, it's just connected to his brain. Koschei acts as a home for my primal animal impulses, the id, to use Freud's structural model of the psyche. Freud's structural model of the psyche. The analytical portions of my mind, the ego and superego, live on in me. They govern the id, and by extension, Koschei's behavior. Wait. Did you literally put a piece of your brain into it? Like, what do you mean? Or did you wire it into... Because look, the id, ego and superego, Like, these are things that Freud kind of... It's a schema that Freud came up with to explain his observations. But Freud is, like, he's old, and his theories don't exactly match up with, like, what we know about neuroscience today, right? I mean, yes, some of it is useful, but the whole framework is not really, um, what's the word for it? It's not, like, rigorous, right? It's not really factual, consistent with facts, right? So, like, there's not a part of the brain that is your id, and then a part of the brain that's your ego, and the part of the brain that's super ego, for example. Like, it's not quite like that. So I don't know if using Freud really explains. I wish he didn't use Freud, is what I'm saying. Which part of your brain did you wire Koschei into, is what I want to ask. When we are on a run, I rig into Koschei. I do not command him to attack. Rather, I loosen my grip on his reins and allow him to kill. He wants to hunt, to dominate, to bathe himself in blood. Reproduction would also be a drive if such a thing were possible. So if you were killed, Koschei would what? Run amok? He chuckles. No, my friend, of course not. Koschei is not capable of storing any part of a human mind. He simply doesn't have the capacity for it. If I were to die, he would fall dormant, the same as any other drone. Okay, so it's like it's his brain controlling the drone, right? It's not, the drone doesn't actually have. Oh, really? So the drone is not autonomous. The drone is rigged to his brain, and he's just compartmentalized his brain to, like, control his physical body with one part and to control the brain with the other part. One day perhaps I will perfect him, and a part of me will live on in his chassis after the meat of my body dies. But for now I am satisfied to live with him as a combined entity, man and machine, joined through a form of neuroparabiosis into a single being. A beautiful first step into a post-human future. I guess that if I have to know a mad scientist, I'm glad that he's on my side. This is weird, Racter, and possibly dangerous. I mean, there's a lot of dangerous things that we do. We do dangerous things all the time. Magic is dangerous. Guns are dangerous, right? I'm dangerous. You're dangerous. So let's not complain about it being dangerous, because that's just being silly, right? Gaichu is dangerous. He's just next door. A beautiful first step into a post-human future. No, I get it. I get it. I mean, he controls the robot. And he says maybe at one point in the future he'll put his brain into the robot. But that's for later. He hasn't done that yet, and I don't think he's able to do that yet. Alright, I guess if I have to know a mad scientist, I'm glad he's on my side. He snickers. Well said, my friend. And the feeling's mutual. If I must associate with violent criminals, I suppose that I'm happy to call them friends. You're a violent criminal, Racter. You are also a Shadowrunner. Okay, so you've rigged your drone to act as a home to your most destructive impulses. I've got to ask why. Tell me why you think he's gonna... Tell me why you think we're gonna beat the essence limit. You hinted at it before, I want to know. Alright. You've rigged your drone to act as a home to your most destructive impulses. I've got to ask why. It's a proof of concept, primarily. There are other advantages, of course. I shouldn't have to explain the value of a combat drone that wants to kill. Alright. Tell me why you think we're gonna beat the essence limit. You hinted at it before, but I want to know. I could do that. I have already shared quite a lot with you, and you haven't run off screaming. A good sign, I should think. He studies your face. peering at you through the gloom. But tell me, SDKC, are you certain that you want to know? Some secrets are less pleasant than others. You might prefer to leave the stone unturned. Ah, we do unpleasant things every day, Racter. I want to know whatever you have to tell me, Racter. I don't run from things because they're unpleasant. Very good. There are things that you don't know about me, my friend. Important things. Please tell me that this doesn't end with you hitting on me. Alright, what kind of things? For one, I am not, how to put it, whole. Emotionally you mean? Mentally? There are arguments that could be made to support both of those positions, but no, that wasn't what I meant. I was talking about my physical body. Uh-huh. There was an accident when I was young, a shop accident. I barely survived it. I'm very heavily cybered, my friend. You wouldn't know it because I keep my enhancement hidden. Others have found it disturbing in the past. What, you have a cyber dong? I mean, a lot of people have cyborg legs and arms, right? I mean, what? Do you have a cyborg penis? Like, which... How can it be unpleasant? Like, is your, like, chest cavity, like, a... disturbing? How so? The enhancements themselves are not the problem. The extent of the damage that they were meant to correct, however. He sighs, that's a different matter. Like, how messed up are you? He uses the edge of his hand to trace a line across his hips. Everything below the mid-pelvis is replacement material. That's where I was sheared in half, you see. It's a miracle I survived the experience. The blood loss alone should have killed me, but here I am, alive and well, greatly improved in point of fact. Everything below the pelvis. He does have a cyber dong. He does have a robot penis. Hang on, you lost everything below the hips. Yes, a traumatic loss to be sure, but not so terrible as you might think. By every conceivable measure, I have been improved since the time of the accident. I am more than I was before, not less. You lost half your body, how could that not be terrible? No, because his robots are were better than his biological parts, right? They're more... Functionally, they're better than the biological parts. I mean, he probably doesn't have a penis anymore. But aside from not having a penis, functionally he is better than he was before. You lost half your body, how could that not be terrible? He taps his temple with a finger. The doctors installed stimulus generators in my brain where they repaired me. With these I can mimic the full range of sensations that the human body is capable of producing. Imagine the ramifications of such a thing, the things that you could do, the things that you could experience. The implications for operant conditioning alone are staggering. Installed stimulus generators in my brain when they repaired me. With these I can mimic the full range of sensations that the human body is capable of producing. Oh, so you can feel whatever? So you can feel whatever a human can feel, but it's artificial, and you can kind of control them. Is that what he means? And so yes, I have lost the entire lower half of my body. The full ramifications of such a loss are obvious. But in return I have gained so much more. At will I can goad my brain into producing whatever sensation I wish. I can poke at the wiring of my own consciousness. I can reroute that wiring as I see fit. Everything below his pelvis, including his penis. I think that like if we read between the lines, including his penis, he can make his penis feel whatever he wants. Is what he's trying to tell you. Alright, so you're half machine. What does this have to do with the essence limit? He spreads his arms. Look at me, SDKC. I have a shred of essence left in me, and only barely that, but I suffer none of the ill effects associated with traumatic essence loss. But essence is a... Isn't essence a magic thing? I don't actually know what essence means. I know that as you lose essence, you lose magic. Or you lose your ability to use magic. And I've briefly read people say that people who lose a lot of essence become unemotional, apparently. I'm not sure what that means. But like, is this like magical pseudoscience? Like, I don't know really what the consequences of essence loss is. How can that be? A quirk of psychology, long viewed as an illness but never properly understood. What I now understand to be an evolutionary adaptation to a post-human future. We will conquer the essence limit given time. Natural selection will see to it, and I am the proof. A quirk of psychology, long viewed as an illness but never properly understood. What I now understand to be an evolutionary adaptation to a post-human future. We will conquer the essence limit at given time. Natural selection will see to it, and I'm the proof. Not sure what that means. These stimulus generators that you've been implanted with, how do they work? The technology is rather akin to SimSense, but considerably more powerful and flexible. Most SimSense experiences, those found in BTL chips for example, are structured around basic narratives that provide their users with context. But if you strip away the veneer of escapist fantasy, what you're left with is an extremely powerful toolkit. Right, you're basically wiring into the emotion centers in your brain, and you're just like stimulating the emotion centers in your brain. I've never heard of anything like that on the market, not even in the shadows. I'm not surprised. They're Russian technology, government funded and quite experimental. He sucks on his cigarette, a thoughtful expression on his face. The project was cancelled shortly after I received my implants, something about graft and corruption on the administrative level. Yet another example of good science derailed by bad politics. Have you heard of anyone else who's gotten these implants? I know of a handful of other recipients. From what I've heard, the others were all driven quite mad. To be handed control over the inner workings of one's own brain is a tremendous responsibility, he shrugs. Perhaps the others were less well equipped to handle it than I am. Or maybe they've driven you insane too. Ever considered the possibility? Well, no, because he's functioning, right? He's functioning, he functions well enough to be able to come on these shadow runs and contribute. So I wouldn't say he's not messed up, right? Like, he's not non-functional, he's not self-destructive, he's not literally blowing up. Be careful with those things, Racter. The last thing I need is you wigging out on me. I have carried these implants for over 20 years, my friend. I know how to handle myself. You have nothing to fear. So what else have you been keeping from me? I know there's a lot more to the story than this. There is, my friend, but nothing that can't wait till tomorrow. You have a lot to process, I'm sure, and I would like to remind the remainder of the evening to myself, but if you come back later, I'll finish the tale. Sure, Racter, we'll talk tomorrow. Very good, rest well. Alright, he's, Not sure I buy that. I don't know, this is it's not that plausible to me. Like, the fact that you would compartmentalize the animalistic parts of your brain and then wire that part to your drone and then keep the higher functions to yourself. I don't think that's how it would work. Yeah, no, I don't think that's how it would work. Your brain, like, the brain is quite remarkably adaptive. I forgot where I read this. I think the theory is that your brain can actually adapt to any body. Maybe not as an adult, but definitely as a baby. Like, your brain is not really pre-programmed with instructions for making your body function. As you grow, well, not like maybe like the basic functions like heartbeat and breathing, like and digestion. That stuff is probably hardwired. But a lot of your brain learns to use your body when you're an infant. So after you're born, before you're born and after you're born, like how to hear sounds, how to see objects, how to see colors, like your brain learns to use your body as you grow. And theoretically, if you put your brain into a different body, your brain will have the ability to learn to use that body. Like, and we kind of have proof of this in the sense that we have like wired robot arms to monkey brains. So you take the robot arm and you take some wires, you kind of put the wires into the monkey brain, and the monkey, you give him like a few days, give him a few weeks, and eventually the monkey can operate the robot arm just using the brain. So the brain can learn to operate a new limb. Like the brain can learn to operate a completely new limb. So then the monkey like uses the robot arm to pick up food and bring the food and eat the food, like quite well. And the monkey has its own arms, and then the robot arm is a third arm. So monkeys can do this, and theoretically, like I said, theoretically, your brain can just learn to use any body. You give it a completely different body, and your brain can just learn to drive the body. Right? Like the brain is remarkably adaptable in that sense. Not that we've tried it with humans very much. I mean, we've tried it a little bit with humans, but there's always, ethical problems, ethics, and so we don't quite do such extreme things with humans just yet. But the experiments that people have done with people who have lost a limb, for example, and you kind of give them a robot limb, and then you let their brains, like they can learn to control the limb. But the implants are not as invasive, and so it's not as precise as the monkey. The monkey, yes, they can do that, but because the invasive implants are not very good, over time it will injure the brain. The brain implants will injure the brain implants will injure the brain, and that's not very good. Eventually you die. The monkey will die from like a brain damage. So that's why we don't do it to humans yet. It's the brain-machine interface that's the problem. It's not the robot arm is fine, the brain is fine. It's the interface that's the problem so far. We haven't quite figured out a way to have that not injure the brain over time. But if we could get past that part, like we don't actually know how much the brain can adapt to. Like exactly what the brain can adapt to, we don't know. I mean, if you just feed it raw data from a computer, can it handle that? We don't know. If we give it like a crazy spider body, could you learn to drive the spider body with your brain? We don't know, right? Like if you give it a flying machine with the flappy wings, or even like you fly a drone around, can the brain could like fly a helicopter with your brain? We don't know. It's possible that you can do all that stuff. The brain can just learn it, right? So anyway, let me get back to the game. Yeah, so like this is, I don't think like this story, him having to partition his brain to control the drone, I don't think it's that complicated. I think you can just directly control it, and you don't need to partition anything. And over time, it will just become an extension of your body, or you can kind of view it. You start feeling it as though it's an extension of your body. Because the monkey with the brain and eating, the monkey feels like the arm is just an extension of its body.